The next second, Shen Yuxi's cool arm draped over my arm. Her slender, fair hand slid up along my forearm and finally covered my palm. Right after our 10 fingers intertwined, Big Sister's palm was slightly cold, and the skin on the back of her hand was even softer and more delicate. Holding a hand like this, my heartbeat involuntarily sped up. Aside from holding my little sister's hand when they were kids, I had never held another woman's hand. Don't be fooled by Shen Yuxi taking the initiative. She was actually panicking inside. Even her voice carried a hint of tension. This was her first time holding a guy's hand. Especially when she squeezed slightly, that solid sense of security enveloped a secret thrill. I held up my phone and decisively pressed the shutter. The whole process was seamless. The photo captured the guy's hand completely wrapping around the girl's slender, fair hand. It looked full of protectiveness. With their lunch as the background, it added an extra layer of warmth. I was very satisfied with this photo. I held the phone out in front of Shen Yuxi. My photography skills aren't bad, right? Shen Yuxi's face flushed red. Trying to look calm, she glanced at me. Could you let go before you speak? Are you addicted to holding it? Why haven't you let go yet? I froze, instinctively looking down at my hand. Oh, I still haven't let go. No, wait, sister. Let me explain. The phone buzzed. I quickly let go of her hand. Looks like I really do understand my mom best. Su Qifan had indeed replied to the message. You brat, don't just focus on eating by yourself. Take good care of little Shi. Seeing the message from Su Qifan, both of us felt much more relieved. Perhaps because of the hand-holding just now, the atmosphere had taken on a slightly unnatural vibe. Neither of us said anything else. We both picked up our chopsticks and started eating. Just as we were about to finish eating, Shen Yuxi's phone rang. The caller ID displayed Mom. The moment she answered the call, I clearly saw in her beautiful eyes a flash of helplessness. I didn't say anything and just kept eating. Your dad already said it. If you plan on staying like this forever, then tell us early so we can go adopt 2 kids. That way when you're old, you'll have someone to take care of you and it won't get to the point where the Shen family's business has no heir. Even if you never get married your whole life, make sure you have both a son and a daughter. On the other end of the line was a middle-aged woman. Her attitude was very nice and her voice was gentle. It's just that those words were incredibly harsh to the ear. I couldn't help but sigh in amazement. This big sister's mom is even fiercer than mine. No boyfriend. Straight to adopting kids. Terrifying. Shen Yuxi seemed to be used to this kind of forced marriage pressure. She was already too familiar with it. She had no expression, just flatly saying, "If you two want to adopt, I have no objections. I'll explain it to my boyfriend later. That it's Dad's illegitimate child. People's gossip is a terrifying thing. That's why he asked you to help raise him. After all, the Shen family has a massive business. Having an illegitimate child isn't exactly surprising." She said it so casually, like she was talking about the weather. I almost spit out my food. The person on the other end of the line didn't seem surprised by this tone at all. They've been bickering like this for a long time, but she was genuinely shocked. "You have a boyfriend?" Shen Yuxi glanced at me. She replied expressionlessly, "I do." The person on the phone sounded skeptical. "Don't tell me this is just another trick to deal with us. Did you make this all up just to mess with us? Let me tell you something. The truth will always come to light, and I wasn't born yesterday. Whether it's true or not, I'll know once I come over and see for myself. I'm busy with work. I'm hanging up." After Shen Yuxi said that, she decisively hung up the phone. Just from this phone call alone, I can guarantee this Annie is definitely not easy to deal with. I tentatively spoke up. "Sister Shi, was that your mom?" Shen Yuxi nodded. She clearly hadn't shaken off her frustration yet. "You heard everything. Why are you even asking?" She stood up, poured a glass of water, and walked over to the window. "So, this is exactly why I need you to bring your clothes over, and not just your clothes. We have to create the illusion that we're living together." I gulped. "So, we're really doing this, huh? We actually have to live together." Shen Yuxi crossed her arms. Her eyes were full of absolute certainty. "That's right. Ever since I mentioned it in the family group chat about us living together, then you regretted it and got a headache. I didn't expect the big boss to play this kind of game. I couldn't help but start fantasizing about my days living with the boss. The boss wearing a silk nightgown giving me a massage, paired with that pleasant queen-like voice of hers. Realizing my thoughts were wandering too far, I quickly snapped back to reality. At that moment, Si Qingqing had just returned from lunch. She originally wanted to check if Boss Shen had finished eating, so she could clear the dishes. But unexpectedly, right as she reached the door, she heard Boss Shen's voice. "I'll send you the address. Make sure you come over tonight. Be there after work, or else." Si Qingqing's face turned visibly red in an instant. Oh my God, they're moving way too fast. It's only been one day, and they're already having a late-night rendezvous. At this rate, in a couple of days, won't Boss Shen be going on maternity leave? While she was still spacing out, she saw me walking out of the office. Si Qingqing blushed. "Hello, Designer Lin. He's President Shen's boyfriend now. If I give him a bad attitude, what if President Shen replaces me? I wouldn't even have a place to cry." I looked at her. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but trying to explain it seemed pointless. With this kind of thing, the more you explain, the worse it looks. I headed back to the design department. It was a bit empty. There weren't many people around. I sat down and logged into the International Design website. After logging in, I clicked on the registration tab. A message popped up. "Congratulations, your registration is successful. The competition will begin on December 18th. Looks like I'm officially registered. The 18th is still 2 weeks away." I exited the page. Suddenly, I noticed my notifications had spiked to over 90 today. I clicked to check them out. Underneath a design draft I posted not long ago, someone was provoking me. The provocateur's name was Lin Yuan. He's a designer with quite a large following. You could consider him a minor influencer. Lin Yuan, forgive me for being blunt, but this piece is absolute garbage in my eyes. It has 0 unique features. It completely fails to highlight the minimalist style. Followed by a picture of a minimalist design draft with the same theme as mine. Below that were countless comments. I still think God Yuan's design is better. It fits market demands much better. Drafting is hard, harder than ascending to heaven. I feel like Muge's draft is the true work of a master. Compared to this, God Yuan's draft doesn't seem to have any special flair. Is this Muge guy just here to leech off God Yuan's clout? What the hell is this? Leech, have you even seen how many followers Muge has? As for leeching clout, I, a member of the Mu army, refuse to accept this. As for this designer, Lin Yuan Muge, I actually know of him. He has a decent fan base. Honestly, I just threw this design together casually, mainly to meet the minimalist demands of the majority of clients. Nowadays, most people choose a minimalist style for their homes. The main goal is still to optimize space while keeping it minimalist. It can also free up a few extra square meters of space. For residential areas where every inch of land is worth its weight in gold, this kind of design is the most practical. In the comments, quite a few people thought my draft was good, and quite a few thought Lin Yuan Muge's draft was better. I wasn't really interested in the comments. After all, everyone has their own style. However, I had a huge problem with Lin Yuan Muge's draft. The title clearly says minimalist, but this retro style has absolutely nothing to do with it. Using a semicircular brick wall with polished cement walls and cement floors. It feels like if you just tossed a torch in there, you could sit on the floor and start roasting a wild chicken. I couldn't help but comment. Bro, let's put aside the issue of whether this is off topic or not. Have you ever considered how the people living in it would feel? Are they supposed to devolve back into cavemen? I really can't agree with this. You call this kind of design a masterstroke? More like the stroke of an amateur. Designing isn't just about aesthetics. More importantly, you have to consider the convenience of the residents. With this arched doorway, you'd have to duck every time you go in and out. You're telling me that wouldn't be annoying. Criticisms aside, I still decided to draw another draft to make up for the flaws in my previous one. I closed the website. I picked up the pencil on my desk, getting ready to draw a sketch. By now, the people who went to lunch had returned. It was 1:30 p.m. Some were chatting quietly. Some were scrolling on their phones. Everyone was doing their own thing. Shu turned his head and saw me holding a pencil, hunched over the desk with an incredibly serious expression. He couldn't help but be curious. "Shaolin, what are you doing? Technology is so advanced nowadays. There's plenty of drafting software out there. Generating a draft is way more convenient than drawing by hand. It's the standard now. Most designers just draw directly on the computer. I still prefer sketching on paper first. Once I'm satisfied, I'll digitize it. But I still preferred hand drawing. It was like making a rough draft. Only after drafting do you write the final answer on the exam paper. Just felt an itch to doodle a bit," I said, my hands never stopping. Hearing that I was drawing by hand again, Shu was extremely surprised. "Damn, you're actually hand drawing. You know, it only takes 3 minutes with software, right? Drawing by hand takes an hour. Plus, you still have to make edits, and it doesn't even look as good as a computer render." Hearing that I was still hand drawing, it wasn't just Shu. The others who had just walked in were also shocked. "No way, Brother Yuan. You still draw by hand." Xiao Wang adjusted his glasses. He spoke as he walked over to me. He mainly just wanted to see my draft. After all, I had just joined the company and already produced a draft that surpassed the designs of the senior designers. I could read him like a book. He genuinely wanted to see more of my designs so he could study and learn from them. Seeing Xiao Wang walk over, I smiled. "What's up? Trying to steal my trade secrets?" I joked, generously handing him the draft to look at. Honestly, it was just a rough sketch. Aside from the basic layout of the house, you couldn't really make out anything else. He frowned. "I can't really see anything at all. Isn't this kind of pointless? I haven't even started the actual design yet. How could you possibly see anything? Can't you tell? This is my minimalist style." I joked. Xiao Wang shook his head. With a serious face, he said, "No, it's not." Hearing our exchange, Shu also got curious. He walked over wanting to see this minimalism that Xiao Wang couldn't figure out. He took one glance and shot me a glare. "Give it a rest. You only know how to bully Xiao Wang. This is just a layout. How are you supposed to see a style from this?" I laughed. "Exactly, brother he. Do you usually browse Kunin?" Kunin is the abbreviation for the International Design website. The English name translates to Kunin. Shu is considered a veteran designer. How could he not browse Kunin? He chuckled. "What's up? Want me to follow you? Trying to trip me into becoming your fan?" I joked back. "That's not a bad idea. Why don't you become my fan?" Honestly, it was just a joke. Even the top designers on Kunin only have a little over 100,000 followers, but my account has only been registered for a little over a month. It was clear that quite a few designers recognized my work. At the mention of Kunin, Zhao Lin, who was scrolling on his phone, couldn't stay calm anymore. He looked at everyone excitedly. "Oh right. Speaking of Kunin, last night 2 heavyweights got into a fight. Lu Manman Chi Shu Yuan and Liao Yuan Mu Ge got into an argument. To be exact, Mu Ge started a debate with God Yuan. Don't let my usually laid-back demeanor fool you. Whenever design is brought up, I get fired up immediately." Seeing Zhao Lin talk, his eyes practically lit up. "What do you guys think of Muge's draft? That draft is seriously outstanding." I pouted. It was as if Muge's work was appearing right before his eyes again. I was speechless at him. "Holy crap," God Yuan replied. "Looks like the gods are clashing." Chen Kursen, sitting at the back, also joined the conversation. He had just been browsing the web, too. He didn't expect to see God Yuan's response to Muge. He instantly got excited. You have to understand, Liao Yuan Muge is one of the star designers at Shen Company. He's someone who charges a design fee of 1,000 yuan per square meter. Out of 10 clients, 9 of them specifically ask for Wu Mu. The sales department practically worships him. It's just a pity that designer Wu has a terrible temper. He loves cursing people out, so he doesn't really have any friends. The only person he can hold a conversation with is probably Nan Huan, who is also a top designer like him. Muge is seriously top tier. If only I could be like Muge, that would be amazing. Everyone chimed in one after another. They started expressing their admiration for Liao Yuan Muge. It wasn't necessarily genuine admiration. It was just because he was a top designer. Plus, his drafts were so beloved by clients. There had to be a reason for his success. If they personally said they didn't like it, wouldn't that just prove that they didn't understand design at all? Wouldn't that make them a laughingstock? So, to avoid making others think they were clueless, even if they didn't like it, they still had to say they did. How could they be wrong? It was very clear that in everyone's eyes, Wu Mu held the status of a master. Looking at their agreeing faces, I stared in sheer disbelief. My dear seniors, so you guys actually like that kind of design from Liao Yuan Muge? Brother Lin, honestly, I also think God Yuan's design is better. Xiao Wang looked at me seriously. While they were talking, Wu Mu and Nan Huan walked in from outside. The top designers had their own independent offices. The environment was very nice, but if they wanted to head back to them, they had to pass through this public area. Seeing Liao Yuan Muge himself return, brother, he quickly said loudly, Xiao Wang, when did you get down here? Brother Mu is the idol of most people in our company. He Shu was a seasoned veteran. He handled things very tactfully and was well liked by everyone. He never made enemies with anyone. He said this specifically for Wu Mu to hear, just to curry favor. But unexpectedly, I shrugged. All I can say is, Oldie's taste has completely detached from the majority of designers. Is that minimalism? Calling it a return to primitive times would be more accurate. My words carried a hint of sarcasm. This was the first time Wu Mu had ever heard someone in the company talk about his design like that, especially a newly arrived intern. He couldn't help but glare at me coldly. Where exactly do you see a problem with that design? Everyone heard the disdain in Wu Mu's tone. He Shu panicked. Shaolin panicked too. Everyone was panicking. He Shu truly didn't expect me to suddenly say something like that. If he had known, he wouldn't have said that even if you beat him to death. He originally just wanted to suck up. For things to turn out like this was incredibly awkward. It looked like he was intentionally trying to start a fight. Wu Mu was actually a very skilled designer. His family background was also very good. His father and Shen Yuxi's father were considered friends. Right after graduating, he came straight to Shen Xing. Even an idiot could see he had feelings for President Shen. Furthermore, rumor had it that because of this, President Shen had a massive argument with her family. Later, for some unknown reason, she still compromised. As a result, Wu Mu smoothly started working there the next day. But aside from work, the two of them rarely even spoke to each other. Even though it didn't seem like President Shen had any interest in him, everyone knew Wu Mu wasn't a simple guy. Someone that even President Shen couldn't do anything about. Who would dare mess with him? Shaolin chimed in. Designer Wu, I actually happen to have a design draft right now. I was hoping you could take a look at it for me. Should I go grab it for you right now? Wu Mu had never once respected the junior designers in this public area. Not only did he ignore Shaolin's words, he didn't even bother to spare him a glance. His sharp eyebrows twitched slightly. His phoenix eyes stared daggers at me. Well, I shrugged. Have you seen that draft? Wu Mu's tone flat. I've seen it. Whenever design was brought up, I instantly became energized, serious, and meticulous. I looked at Wu Mu with a stern expression. Using an arched doorway for the kitchen design completely ignores the user experience. That's point number one. Point number two, for a small apartment bathroom, the ideal setup is separating the wet and dry zones. But to save space, he didn't separate them. Not only that, he even added a wooden tub. Visually, it elevates the space, but it leads to a major problem. A large area staying damp for long periods will breed bacteria and easily rot the wood. Wu Mu frowned. The expression on his face turned a bit ugly. He had an impression of this guy. His name was Lin Yuan. He had merely drawn up a draft for an apartment complex and gotten a few compliments from Shen Yuxi. But looking at his attitude now, He seemed to completely look down on his design. The forest is big, so it has all kinds of birds. There really are all kinds of people in this world daring to question his work. How ridiculous. If design isn't for aesthetics, then what is it for? What bacteria problem? What material problem? It was entirely Lin Yuan's brain that had a problem. I can't agree with that. I figured I could easily point out 3 or 5 more flaws. I had so much I wanted to say. My mouth couldn't help but fire off like an extended Gatling gun. People these days are so fierce. Can't he see Wu Mu's murderous glare? And he still dares to keep talking. Seeing that I seemed to have more to say, he quickly interrupted. I'm telling you, Lin Yuan, I remember you still have an unfinished drawing. You'd better hurry up and get it done. Xiao Lin chimed in. Exactly. Brother Mu is a god-tier designer. He thinks way further ahead than we do. I looked at this design and it's exceptionally good. You could even call it a textbook example. You should just focus on your own drawings. Getting officially hired soon is what actually matters. If you keep talking, you're really going to get yourself killed. Wu Mu looked at me coldly. You're a fan of Lu Manman Qi Shu Yuan, aren't you? With such a toxic mouth, you're exactly like your idol. Just now, Nanhuan was still talking about that Lu Manman. The house they designed is only fit for monkeys. I'm a famous designer, after all. To dare say something like that is just going too far. Not necessarily. That work of his actually does have a few minor issues. A lot of parts feel like they were done half-heartedly. To be completely honest, when I submitted that drawing, I actually just sketched it out casually. I never revised it, nor did I look deeper into it. Looking back at it now, that drawing really does have a few minor issues. But compared to Liao Yuan Muji's work, those don't even count as problems. He was just that confident in his own drawing. Wu Mu initially thought that I was a fan of Lu Manman Qi Shi Yuan, so he could somewhat understand why I had such a huge problem with him. But hearing this answer, he couldn't help but let out a cold sneer. A lowly intern daring to criticize 2 major designers. What an arrogant, conceited fool. He revealed a look of utter disdain. He turned and walked toward his office. I stood there, dumbfounded. I just felt like this designer Wu seemed a bit off somehow. I turned to look at He Shu and Xiao Lin, who were full of anxiety. I couldn't help but ask out of curiosity, what's wrong with you two? Wasn't it just a design discussion with a big-shot designer? Look at how terrified you guys are. Xiao Lin wiped the sweat from his neck. You really are my good bro. Do you even know who Wu Mu is? I froze. It was just a design discussion. What does it matter who he is? Colleagues having a normal discussion about someone else's work, sharing their perspectives with each other. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. He Shu had that helpless expression on his face that looked exactly like that forced fake smile meme. Wu Mu is Liao Yuan Mu Ge. Who? My pupils dilated in shock. I immediately stared at Wu Mu's retreating back, stunned. I was completely stunned. Now, I finally understood why the whole office was so obsessed with Liao Yuan Mu Ge. What kind of shitty colleagues are these? You should have told me earlier. Damn it. Aren't you just setting me up? I was just complaining. I didn't think you'd blurt it out so fast. Complaining is one thing, but to be completely honest, even if I had known he was Brother Mu beforehand, at most, I would just be sugarcoating my words to praise him. That's just impossible. Meanwhile, Shen Yuxi sat behind his massive desk. Warm sunlight streamed through the huge floor-to-ceiling windows. She rested her chin on one hand, her eyes falling on the computer screen in front of her. Shen Yuxi was also a design student. Combined with the fact that she chose this path, well, it was born out of passion after all. So, she often looked at complex design drafts. Whenever she saw a design she liked, she would slap the table in praise, completely in awe of it. As for the trashy ones, she had scrolled past them in a flash, not even willing to give them a second glance. Just now, as soon as she opened the website, she immediately saw Lu Manman Qi Shiyuan's work being turned into a massive spectacle by Liao Yuan Mu Ge. The fans on both sides were locked in a fierce back-and-forth argument. You have to understand, a post with hundreds of thousands of clicks. The moment Shen Yuxi saw it, She felt sick to her stomach. An indescribable layer of disgust and helplessness clouded her eyes. Her intuition told her that damn Wu Mu was acting up again. This guy, Wu Mu, walked around all day with a self-righteous, holier-than-thou look on his face. The main reason Shen Yuxi had no fondness for him was his personality. He was too obsessed with his own style and incredibly full of himself. Just saying a single sentence to him could easily make you feel extremely uncomfortable. If her dad hadn't said that as long as she kept Wu Mu around, he'd agree to invest 30 million into his company, she wouldn't have kept this kind of person in the company even if you beat him to death. The thing she hated most about this guy was that he always loved to secretly check his account's browsing history. As long as she liked a post, Wu Mu would inevitably go to that person's account and start barking in the comments like a rabid dog. It made people grit their teeth in pure hatred. And this drawing of mine happened to be the one she had liked 2 days ago. Speaking of which, Shen Yuxi really admired this designer named Lin Yuan. From the moment she saw his first design draft, she felt that this person was a rare genius. She even secretly posed as the company's HR and sent him recruitment info twice. It's just that he never responded at all. She just assumed that big-shot designers were usually arrogant. Only listed companies could catch their eye. It was normal for him to look down on Xing. In the past, whenever this kind of thing happened, those designers would just ignore Wu Mu, choosing to turn a blind eye. So, every time it would eventually blow over peacefully. But this time was different. This Qi Yuan fought back directly. Shen Yuxi just felt puzzled. As expected of the designer she liked, not only was his work good, but his standards were high too. To describe it in 4 words, kindred spirits. This kind of rabid dog needed to be dealt with harshly. She decisively commented below, "I got to say, Brother Mu is trash. Kitchen magic is truly a fatal blow." After saying that, she still didn't feel satisfied. So, she sent a private message to Qi Yuan. This kind of rabid dog needs to be taught a serious lesson. Absolutely do not hold back. I suggest you take out a high-interest loan if you have to. Just to crush him. Shen Yuxi had thought it through. Since Qi Yuan already couldn't stand Wu Mu and his fans were acting so overbearing, why not hire a bunch of internet trolls to muddy the waters and teach Wu Mu a lesson? She had to make him understand that other than his parents and her own dad, no one else in this world was going to coddle him. Whichever designer she liked, Wu Mu would go and step on them. Did he really think he was some kind of god? Give him an inch and he takes a mile. He just keeps pushing his luck. Actually, she had been harboring this thought for a while now. The last few times the designers flamed, she had thought of using this method. It was just a pity that those designers, for some unknown reason, all chose to ignore it. This made Shen Yuxi very angry. But this time was different. This time Qi Yuan had firmly fought back. So, she felt there was hope. Her mood even improved significantly. At this moment, I was scrolling through the post feeling annoyed when I suddenly saw this message. This kind of rabid dog needs to be taught a serious lesson. Absolutely do not hold back. I suggest you take out a high-interest loan if you have to just to crush him. My eyebrows twitched. This person seemed to be the exact same one who a while ago kept telling me to join Xing, an HR rep, so I didn't reply and just quietly went to apply for the job. I didn't expect him to send me a message today. Moreover, even through the screen, I could smell a thick murderous intent, as if there was some deep-seated blood feud. Normally, I probably would have just glanced at it and still not replied. But I was feeling pissed off anyway. Suddenly seeing this sentence, I burst out laughing on the spot. It was clearly my business. So why did it seem like he was even angrier than I was? Suggesting I take out a loan just to crush him. If he wasn't a sworn enemy, then what was he? I was so speechless I asked, "Bro, do you have a grudge against him or something?" Shen Yuxi firmly replied, "Yes." Looking at the message sent over, I froze. I didn't expect this person to be so blunt. No beating around the bush at all. Qi Yuan, what do you mean by that? Melancholy. As a stalker of mine, every time he sees me like a picture, he rushes in to flame you. You're not the first person this has happened to. It makes me afraid to like anything anymore. I feel like I'm ruining those designers, causing the works I like to get trashed. It's truly infuriating, but also makes me feel so helpless. Because of this, I'm melancholy every single day. To win some sympathy, Shen Yuxi deliberately made herself sound very pitiful. Her username, Melancholy, wasn't actually because of Wu Mu, but more about her general state of life. Saying all this was nothing more than wanting me to strike hard and teach Wu Mu a lesson. This was his bad habit. Actually, Shen Yuxi had warned Wu Mu many times already, but the more she warned him, the harder he flamed people just to prove he was better than everyone else, that he was the true genius designer. He was exactly like a rock in a latrine, smelly and stubborn. This time, she finally had a chance to use someone else's hands to cure his bad habit. She absolutely wasn't going to give up. Bullying me is one thing, but flaming other designers for no reason, that's just completely unreasonable. Looking at the message Melancholy sent, I suddenly felt so incredibly wronged. If he genuinely didn't acknowledge my skills, I could accept that. But flaming me just because of a like, isn't that completely absurd? And posting a trashy drawing just to disgust people, treating me like cannon fodder. Plus, I already had a natural talent for design. That's the very reason I can sweep the floor with anyone.